website. So my day job has been for many, many years a web developer. Technically, I'm a software engineer, and my skills are broad and varied, but I do a lot of JavaScript work. So that is on the back end and on the front end. So I'm a full stack developer. And I wanted to talk a little bit more about that side of my life, and let's talk a little bit more about the coding, as well as talking about history, photography, and music, and all the other stuff that I do on Substack. So let's put all those things to one side for a little bit, and I'm just going to give you a little bit of an introduction to what I do and something that I'm working on. This is going to be broken down into a number of videos that I'm going to script out, and whether I launch this as a separate Substack or build it into this one, which might be the easier option, bearing in mind you've got sections on this site. So if you want to subscribe to certain elements of what I cover, you can do so. You can literally select if you want to follow my photography stuff, if you want to follow my programming work, or just one of those things. You have control of that as a subscriber. Now, this will, of course, lead into the addition of some paid subscriptions for some more in-depth courses on this topic. So in this video, I'm just going to skate over what it is that I do by introducing you to this personal website, which you can find at nicklewis.blog. It's not here to replace Substack or anything like that. It's literally just a separate project that showcases some of the things that interest me. It's a personal site, basically. And my personal websites have existed for as long as the web has been a thing. Before social media existed, I can remember the days when we had CompuServe, and then we had like web rings and personal blogs and all that kind of stuff. And the personal blog is still very much a thing. It's not dead. It's just perhaps a little bit forgotten. So let's have a look at what we've got here. So it's a nice, clean design, broken down to this sort of tabular format with a sort of feature article that's a little bit wider at the top, and then a whole grid. Down at the bottom, you have the ability to sign up and to subscribe. That uses a separate tool, not Substack, but one called Buttondown, which we will talk about at another point in time. In fact, thinking about it, there's a lot of different topics that we can cover, covering so many things, but let's not go into the deep bits and bobs for a minute. Let's talk about the sort of the front end, which is what we've got here. And you've got a navigation menu on top. You go into like a tags page, which shows you all the tags that we've got on the site. So, for example, you might want to have a look at Pangbourne, a place in Berkshire, and it shows you an article on the history of Pangbourne, some photographs that I've taken there, and all of these are scaled to size, so they're scaled to a smaller size for the web. And in fact, I've got a little tool that I wrote for the Mac, and it hooks up to your iCloud account, and you can pass through in the parameters the album that you want to download. And what it will do is it will go to iCloud, download the photographs, convert them into a smaller format, drop them into a folder within the website projects, and there we go. How we do that in detail is something I'll come back to later on, because, as I say, the more I think about it, the more I'm planning this, and the more likely it's going to be like a whole series of videos on this particular topic. and see how we go, see how we get on with this. So scrolling down, you can see at the bottom we have related posts. So you can find posts on similar things. You can go into Compton Watts Chapel, for example, which is a really interesting place there. I have an interest in churchyards, and got some really nice photographs on this particular trip. The light was beautiful, and there's some very significant graves in this graveyard, including famous authors and many others. For example, there was, I go off on a tangent, but trying to remember who it was. Was it Aldous Huxley? Yeah, Brave New World, the writer who wrote Brave New World many years ago. And then along the top we have a link to my GitHub account, which will take you away from the website. We have a search feature, which works quite nicely. So maybe I'll type in something like JavaScript, for example. Okay, can't find that one. Put in Hampshire, maybe. Find anything with Hampshire? It does indeed. Click on that link, it will take me to the tag for Hampshire. And then you find another post on another interesting old church with some history and some gumph on it. And then you can see you've got like an index on the side, so you can skip around the article to different sections. It has a nice sort of smooth scroll effect as well. And you've got dark mode, light mode. We go back to the home page. We can go into the sections. We've got sections on coding, which is a bit of a in its infancy at the moment. A section on music with links through to some of the stuff that you might have seen in my Substack projects, modulations. This is a little bit of a mirror of that project. This has been put together using a framework called Astro.build, which is a JavaScript-based framework for building websites like the one I'm just showing you, my personal blog site. And it powers a lot of top websites. You can see here you've got Porsche, OpenAI, Netlify, Michelin, Guardian, etc. A lot of these companies use Astro. And basically, in a nutshell, what it is, it's a kind of stems from a thing that was quite a big thing a little while back, still is in a way, called Jamstack, which stands for JavaScript, I think Apache, and Markup, I think it stands for. And basically it's used for building static websites. And static websites are built from something called Markdown. I can show you that if I go into Visual Studio Code. If you just give me a moment to switch to that particular. Just going to switch over to Visual Studio Code. Just 1 second. It's going to find the project, and then hopefully I can switch from browser to Visual Studio Code in Substack Studio quite easily. So hold on 1 second. This is project. And I just found one. And hello there. Excuse the mess in the background. Oops. Share screen. And it's not showing what I was expecting to share at all. Hang on a second. Right. Teething problems with this setup. Share screen. Let's do that one. Hey, there we go. Wonderful. So this might appear a bit small on this screen, so I'm going to zoom in a little bit to it. Let's give it a bit more. There we go. Right, that's better. So it's going to close down some of the other panels, but this is a markdown file. And the basic idea behind it is that you have at the top, denoted by these 3 dashes, there's one there and there's one there. It's called your front matter. And the front matter is a set of metadata, basically. So you got a hero image, which is, so you got for the images Oxford, followed by the file name and the category photography, description, publication dates, showing the cursor in the place where it is. Brilliant. Then you've got tags for photos. Imported, I think, is to remind myself that this was imported using my script I was talking about just now, from pulling in photographs from iCloud. And then you have the comments in here. Now, if you're not familiar with JavaScript and Markdown, please do ask questions in the comments about where you can learn more about this, or whether you want me to go into this topic in a little bit more depth. Just let me know. So you've got your JPEGs there, then you've got some more comments on the bottom. But basically, this translates into one of the pages that you saw earlier on. So then, on the left-hand side, we have the folders for the project. So you go into a folder on your hard drive. What you do is when you set this up from the very start, we will look at this in another video. You create a new directory, and then you run a couple of scripts, which then generates a basic project for you. Or if you wanted to, you can go into GitHub and you can clone this project if you wanted to. And I'll provide links at some point to show you, to enable you to do that if you want to. I don't really mind. So if I just minimize all of these folders, that's better. You can see we've got a folder called source. SRC is just like shorthand for source code. Now, if we go down, we can see we've got a section for pages, a folder for pages, then a subfolder called post. Sorry, that's the wrong one. I'm talking about the wrong. Sorry, content rather. Content followed by a subfolder blog. And then here we go. We've got all of the markdown files for what we've been looking at. So just now, looked at St. Stephen's, and then we looked at St. Stephen's. Yeah. So, and this file is an MDX file. So you have markdown files in MDX. And MDX is an extended markdown file because it's got some built-in code. In fact, this one doesn't have any built-in. It's really the same as an MD file, to be honest with you, but you can also incorporate into a standard markdown file components that you've written in JavaScript. So you can, it's not the best example actually, it's a better example I've got on one of the music posts I did. Sonic thingy bobs, there you go. Yeah, MDX, so you got an iframe in here, and that's what was used to display the audio file that you can play within the page. Unfortunately, Substack Studio doesn't support audio at the moment, but it's coming soon, which I'm really excited about, because that means that if we have any sound in these videos from websites and website sounds, web audio rather, we can play it in these recordings. And the same goes for modulations, my other projects, where we might want to explore some Ableton stuff and stuff like that. So there we go. If you just go back to the web page. Going to share screens and Chrome tab. There's one was down. There's one of these. There's another one. Never mind. That'll do for now, I think. And so, yeah, that's an introduction to some of the stuff that I do professionally, and just to look at doing some more content on this stuff, because I think it's got a lot of potential here on Substack. So let's leave it at that, and I look forward to having a chat with you again on building websites and coding in another video. Bye for now.